The sun rose slowly over Riverdale City, casting golden light across the rooftops, warming the quiet streets below. At Riverwood High School, the campus was already alive with chatter, footsteps, and the sound of lockers clanging open and shut. For most students, it was just another day filled with classes, laughter, and gossip. But for Elena Morgan, it was a day that would forever change the course of her life. Elena was the kind of girl who gave too much of herself. She wasn't the most popular, but she was known for being kind, reliable, and gentle. Every morning before classes even began, she carried food and water for her boyfriend Ryan. For almost 3 years, it had been their routine. She would show up with a smile, hand him the neatly packed lunch she prepared, and wait for his faint nod of approval. To everyone else, she looked like a devoted girlfriend. To Ryan, she was convenient. Ryan was one of the stars of Riverwood High. Tall, athletic, with sharp features and a charming smile, he had the kind of presence that drew people in. Girls admired him, boys envied him, teachers praised him. Elena thought she was lucky to have his attention. She believed he truly cared. She believed that every small sacrifice she made, skipping her own lunch, staying up late to review his assignments, running errands for him, was proof of her love. But all of that shattered one stormy evening. Elena had been on her way to Ryan's house with a basket of food when she saw him standing under the street lamp. He wasn't alone. With him was Melissa Carter, a pretty girl with long brown hair and a mischievous smile. Their hands were intertwined. Elena froze where she stood, her heart thundering in her chest. At first, she thought maybe it was innocent. Maybe Melissa was just a friend. But then Ryan leaned down and kissed Melissa on the lips, a kiss filled with intimacy and familiarity. The basket fell from Elena's hands. Her world collapsed in an instant. Her breaths came in sharp gasps as the truth burned inside her. Ryan and Melissa had been together all along. When she confronted him days later, she discovered the bitter truth. He had been with Melissa for 2 years and 10 months, almost their entire relationship. Elena felt as if someone had ripped her heart out of her chest. She couldn't eat, couldn't sleep. Her friends noticed her pale face, but she brushed off their concerns. She wandered the streets one night, her vision blurred with tears. "Why? Why wasn't I enough?" she whispered into the empty night. Lost in her thoughts, she stepped into the road without looking. A pair of headlights blinded her eyes. The blaring horn was the last thing she heard before everything went dark. But fate had other plans. When Elena opened her eyes again, she was not lying in a hospital. She was in her classroom, her desk, her books, the smell of chalk and paper all around her. Outside the window, the sky was bright and familiar. Her hands trembled. The clock ticked softly on the wall. She realized she was back in high school, before Ryan's betrayal had destroyed her. Her heart pounded. She had been reborn. This time, she swore she would not waste her tears on someone who didn't deserve her. The very next morning, Ryan called to her casually, as he always did. "Elena, bring me some water, and don't forget my lunch." Before, she would have rushed to obey, but now she looked at him differently. A calm, almost amused smile touched her lips. "No, I think Melissa can do that for you. I've got tests to prepare for." Ryan blinked in disbelief. "What did you just say?" "I said no," Elena repeated, her voice steady. "I'm not your maid." She turned and walked away, leaving him standing there, stunned. Word spread quickly through the halls. The quiet Elena had refused Ryan. Some students whispered that she was being bold. Others waited to see Ryan's reaction. Later that day, when Ryan discovered Melissa had been the one to deliver food to him, his anger boiled over. He stormed into Elena's classroom, shoving the door so hard it slammed against the wall. "Elena," his voice was sharp, demanding, "why did you let Melissa bring me food? You know that's your job." Elena raised her eyes slowly from her book, her calm gaze slicing through his fury. "My job? Ryan, do I look like your servant? I don't need to bring you food every time. You already have someone else who's been doing it for years." Her words cut deep, and Ryan's fists clenched at his sides. The class fell into silence, watching the confrontation. Elena, once timid and obedient, was no longer afraid. She went back to her book, ignoring him completely. Ryan stormed out, slamming the door behind him. Melissa, however, wasn't done. She wanted to provoke Elena, to remind her of her place. Days later, Melissa pretended to be injured. With crocodile tears, she clung to Ryan's arm, and he brought her straight into Elena's house. "Elena," Ryan said smugly, "Melissa hurt herself today. I brought her here so she can rest." Elena barely looked up. With her headphones on, she scrolled through her phone, music drowning out his voice. Ryan frowned. "Aren't you angry? Aren't you jealous?" Elena took off her headphones, her voice calm and cold. "Why should I be? You chose her, not me. Bring whoever you want into this house, it makes no difference to me." Her indifference enraged him. "This is my house. I bought it for you before we even started dating. You have no right to order me around." Elena stood, her eyes sharp. "Then take your lover and leave. I need space." For the first time, Ryan realized she wasn't bluffing. She meant every word. Still, pride kept him from backing down. He sneered. "Fine, since your family agrees with you, pack your things and leave right now." Elena didn't argue. She packed her belongings that same night and walked out without looking back. She traveled far until she reached a quiet little town called Raven Brook. Life there was simple, the air fresh, the people kind. For the first time, Elena felt at peace. She rented a small cottage, surrounded by fields of wildflowers, and decided she would start anew. One afternoon, while she was buying vegetables at the market, she heard a warm voice behind her. "Excuse me, miss, but I couldn't help noticing. You look stunning today." She turned to see a tall man with kind eyes and an easy smile. He introduced himself as Adrian Cole, a young entrepreneur who had recently moved to Raven Brook. He held out a bouquet of flowers, his cheeks slightly flushed. "These are for you." Elena was taken aback. For so long, she had been treated as less, made to feel small. Now, standing before Adrian, she felt seen, respected, cherished. Days turned into weeks into months. Adrian proved to be patient, loving, and genuine. He walked with her in the fields, listened to her dreams, and held her hand through her fears. Before long, their hearts were entwined, and they married in a small ceremony filled with laughter and joy. Soon, Elena gave birth to a beautiful child, and their home was filled with warmth. Meanwhile, Ryan and Melissa's story unraveled. After high school, they married, but the sweetness faded quickly. Melissa refused to lift a finger around the house, spending her days on vanity and gossip. Ryan, who once bathed in admiration, grew tired of her. Arguments filled their nights, and bitterness replaced the love they once pretended to have. One evening, Ryan finally snapped. "You don't cook, you don't clean, you don't care about anything but yourself. Get out of my house!" Melissa's eyes widened in shock. "How dare you? After everything I gave up for you?" But Ryan's words were merciless. "You gave up nothing. You only took. Now leave." Melissa left in tears, carrying the weight of regret. She realized too late that she had destroyed herself by chasing after a man who could never truly love her. Ryan, once admired by many, was now abandoned by all. His family looked at him with disappointment, his mother shaking her head in shame. The man who once believed he owned everything was left with nothing but loneliness. As for Elena, she never looked back. She had been broken once, but rebirth gave her strength. In Adrian's arms, she found a love that was pure and lasting. Her days were filled with laughter, the sound of her child's footsteps echoing through their home, and the peace she had longed for. Fate had been cruel, but it had also been kind. It tore her apart, only to rebuild her into someone stronger, wiser, and free. And in the quiet town of Raven Brook, Elena finally lived the life she was always meant to live.